9:30, and I would like to call the Thursday, March 28th, 2024 council meeting to order. The first item of business is the approval of the agenda. If you're ready, the items that must be discussed. Number 2.1, approval of the agenda. 3.1, I'd like to move 11.3. I've spoken to the CAO. We're going to move 11.3 up to 5.2. There's no reason that needs to be closed. Then we have 8.1 calendars and items number 11.1, 11.2, and CAO Beck, you suggested to me you wanted to add.
Yes, Mr. Chair. Under closed session, it would be section 24 of the FOIP Act, business interest of a third party.
So that's adding to the closed section under section 24, business interests of a third party. Other additions, deletions, or changes? Councillor Holland.
Thank you. 7.2, please.
7.2 with the request of Councillor Holland.
And 7.3, please.
And 7.3. Others? Councillor Gerlach, can you hear us? We'll assume.
Can you hear me now?
Yep, you're good. Thank you.
Yep.
Okay, seeing no others, I'll go through the list again. Item 2.1, 3.1, 5.1, 5.2 is the moving of the former 11.3, number 7.2, 7.3, 8.1, 11.1, 11.2, and the other item under closed added by the CAO, business interests of a third party. Is there a motion to approve? Councillor Minns has moved the adoption of the agenda as amended. Is there any discussion on that matter? Seeing none on the question of the adoption of the motion, all those in favor?
Aye.
The motion opposed? Motion is adopted 9-0. As it relates to the minutes, the only reason that's on is there's an incorrect vote count regarding 24-129. It needs to read 4, 3, opposed 5. There was only 8 votes at that item. Is there anyone willing to move the minutes? Councillor Anderson has moved the adoption of the minutes. On the question of the adoption of the minutes as amended, is all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion is adopted 9-0. Item number 5.2. So this, we've received a follow-up letter from Aspen View to their February 12th letter. Clearly, this is a mess, and this divisive problem has not been resolved by what we've done so far. So given that new information, I'm going to suggest to council it's time we take the next step and do what we can to resolve it. Considering that, in the March 14th letter, I'd like to move that we direct the investigator to request the information required to meet the requirements of a formal code of conduct complaint from Aspen View in order to take on a code of conduct investigation, even though we acknowledge the February 12th letter was not a complete complaint, and further to report on council's handling of the matter. So the motion is to direct the investigator to request the information required to meet the requirements of a formal code of conduct complaint from Aspen View to take on a code of conduct investigation, even though we acknowledge the February 12th letter was not a complete complaint, and further to report on council's handling of the matter. The floor is open to discussion. Councillor Holland.
Thank you. Is there a way that we can actually take our time here and have a look at that motion? I mean, you've read it very quickly. I would like to write it down. I would like to suggest an amendment of removal of certain words, as we have a motion that is current and is still actionable that says that we have deemed this as a councillor code of conduct. And that's, I'm just trying to find it if I can, real quickly. here we go, CC 2489, that council deem the letter received from Aspen View Public Schools as a code of conduct complaint and to direct administration to enlist a third-party investigator to investigate this matter. That motion was passed, it was carried, and we have taken action on that motion. So therefore, I would, if you could read again what your motion
Absolutely.
had with
The motion
regard.
is to direct the investigator to request the information required to meet the requirements of a formal code of conduct complaint from Aspen View, to take on a code of conduct investigation, even though acknowledging the February 12th letter was incomplete, and further to report on council's handling. So the
I would like to remove the amendment to remove February 12th letter is incomplete. And the reason for that is simply that we have a procedural bylaw that allows for an option to provide an informal or a formal complaint, because it is may. We may follow this process if a complaint is being lodged. If someone chooses not to follow that optional process, which we are looking at this time, the letter is not incomplete. We have agreed that it is a code of conduct, and we have agreed to open a third-party investigation and go forward with that. So in my opinion, I don't even know if we actually need a motion because we already have one on the floor that is actionable. So
other comments? So your amendment that you're proposing is to remove the words February 12th letter is incomplete?
correct.
Okay, got that. Is it further discussion? Councillor Wallach.
Yes, we had a motion that was there, and we went into close and we were told the answer to that. This is not why I got on this chair to fight over this stuff. I came here for governance and to follow the rules. And just because we don't get told the right answer doesn't mean we can start doing different things and coming around the backside to do other things. So I don't think this is correct. We've never done this before. And just because we didn't like the answer the first time doesn't mean we can bend the rules to do it a second time. So I don't know. There's no formal complaint that came in. And that is what it is.
Councillor Cromwell, you're on deck.
Unfortunately, there is a standing motion on the floor. Unfortunately, we have a duty to uphold. Unfortunately, the code of conduct bylaw 016-213 is very clear and says may address, and that is exactly what has happened. We have made a decision, and though some people may appear not to support that decision, was the decision of council as a whole and needs to be upheld. There's a standing motion on the floor, and it is our duty to uphold that and follow it. It's very simple. I don't understand why the hesitation that, someone has allegedly done or said things that are clearly a violation, clearly not in the best interest of the municipality, the council, the administration, our relationships with other bodies, and why we are looking at ways to ignore that and sweep it under the rug is mind-boggling. We are here for a reason, and we cannot do that if things are not being done appropriately and in the best interest. And if that's your issue, is being in a chair for all of us or any of us, I'm sorry, but we have to do it, and we have to do it properly.
Councillor Gerlich, Councillor, anybody else? Councillor Mittens, floor is yours.
My whole point of view on this is we received another email letter on March 14th after the March 12th meeting, and in that letter, Aspen View said that they would work with the third party investigator. And with that being said, this needs to be done, gone over, finished, so we can move on. It's like we just keep beating this around, and if we don't address this issue, we are not gonna go anywhere forward with anything here. So let's get this investigated, get it done with and move on, please, because as a counterpart of mine said, we got bigger and better things to look at. So that's my point of view.
Are you ready for the question on the amendment?
Can you please have both the amendment and the
Well, we
motion?
vote on them one at a time. So the amendment is to remove the words February 12th letter is incomplete. No, it's February 12th. Yeah. The amendment is to remove the words, the February 12th letter is incomplete. If you're ready for that, the question is on the adoption of the amendment to remove the words February 12th letter is incomplete. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The counts 5 and 4 and the words are removed. On the question of the main motion, is there anybody that would like to speak to that hasn't?
If we haven't, so if I can get some clarification here, if we have a motion on the floor already regarding moving forward with the third party investigation, and we make another motion regarding same motion, are they both defeated or how does that work?
Mr. Reeve, I'm happy to try to weigh in, whether or not, I'm not a lawyer. I just talk to them every day, so I see this as not competing motions. This is an attempt to break the logjam so that the investigation could proceed in some manner. And I don't think it competes with the original one. In fact, we'd be breaking the logjam so the original one might be able to proceed.
So the motion as on the floor would be to direct the investigator to request the information required to meet the requirements of a formal code of conduct complaint from Aspen View, to take on a code of conduct investigation and further report on council's handling of the matter. Councillor, okay. Is there any further discussion? If you're ready for that, the question is on the adoption of the motion to direct the administration to request the information required to meet the requirements of a formal code of conduct complaint from Aspen View, to take on a code of conduct investigation and further report on council's handling of the matter. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So opposed is Kapatanik, Anderson, Hall, and Wallach. The other council members are in favor. The motion is adopted 5 and 4. Okay. Helipad assessments. Pardon me? We're at 7.2, I think. So Councillor Holland asked this to be on the agenda, but I'm wondering, given that we've not yet heard from the community group on their vision for this project, I'm wondering if there's even an appetite to just table this decision until after we've heard from them, and potentially even from STARS, to get a better understanding of how these projects impact the region.
Actually, that was one of the things I did write down, because I am struggling with the lack of information that this council has, and the perception in the community, the optics in the community is that this is a regional effort, according to the letter in this agenda, as well as it's being advertised as being scheduled on the Rotary page. So yes, if we would like to table this for more information, I'd appreciate that.
Okay, so Councillor Holland has made a motion to table this item. Would it be fair to say to table it until after a presentation from the community group
From community group and STARS.
and STARS? To table this item until after a presentation from community group and STARS. Tabling motions are non-debatable. On the question of the adoption of that motion, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The count is 8 and 1, and the motion is adopted. Rotary celebration dinner and auction. Councillor Holland, do you have a motion you'd like to move?
Yes, the county council received the report for information.
Can you just help me That was the recommended motion. Just
Isn't that the
having trouble
recommended-
understanding why that's come off the closed agenda. Just-
I apologize, pardon me. Didn't hear you.
I just, can you help me understand why this off the closed, not the closed, the consent agenda?
I guess if somebody wanted to have that conversation.
Perfect.
Outside
Councillor
of
Holland has
that.
moved that we receive the report for information. I'll open the floor to discussion. Seeing none. Sorry, so at 7.3. Councillor Holland has moved. 7.3 is the Rotary Celebration Dinner and Auction. Councillor Holland has moved that the county council receive the report for information. And the Rotary Dinner and Auction. It's just there in case anybody wants to comment on. Yep, do you want to talk? Councillor Minns, do you want to comment on that motion? Sometimes,
guess,
sometimes just as a procedural thing, sometimes they do come on just to create the opportunity to discuss it.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
Councillor Holland, you want to pop your mic off just because?
I guess the same goes back to if we're just gonna save it for information, why was it put on the agenda? I don't, no, I'm just wondering why.
It's, I mean, things come to the agenda because they come to the agenda for a variety of reasons. It's whether we want to discuss it or not. And if we want to, I think it looks like they were looking for, do we want to buy a table? Do we want to sponsor, like all the other opportunities to come? And administration has recommended that we just receive this information. And that's the motion that's on the floor. Okay. Councillor Gerlich?
No comment.
On the question of the adoption of the motion, the county council received the report for information. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, the count is 6-3. The motion is adopted. Calendars. Does anybody have things you want to talk about? Let's start with Councillor Gerlich. Since I often forget the Zoom attendees, we'll go with you first and then move around the table. Do you
Yeah, I have
any-
nothing to add.
Okay. Councillor Minns, anything you want on the calendars? No? Councillor Cromwell? Councillor Holland? Gonna go back and forth. You're gonna switch it up.
Oh, I don't have anything to add. I just have something to ask. What is WNC spring meeting on May 1st?
Water North Coalition.
Sorry,
That's the Water North Coalition.
Water North Coalition. Thank you. I just didn't know what that was.
Popping to this side. Councillor Capitanic, anything you want to do? Councillor Chamzak.
May the sixth County Library, May 9th and 10th, the Northeast FCSS AA spring convention meeting. And then the 13th would be FCSS, the 21st Boyle, the 23rd Town, and the 22nd would be Northern Lights. Yep,
Sorry, 21st is Boyle Library, 22nd is Northern Lights, 23rd is Town.
correct.
Leah, did you caught those? Councillor Anderson, nothing. Councillor Wallach.
April 29th, the healthcare retention meeting.
I would strike Greater North on the 22nd. That one I think is a recurring and it's not happening on that date. It's the next one is in May. On the calendars, Councillor Cromwell.
Sorry, what is the Portage Board of Governors meeting on May the 2nd?
That's Portage Board of Governors invited myself or the Deputy Reeve to show up at a Board of Governors meeting and just hear what they have to say. If there are any things that we want to talk about or specifically as a council that we want to take to them, you know, we should have a discussion around that. The last time I attended one of those, it was in really cold month. And mostly used the few minutes they gave me just to talk about kind of the region and the things we're doing as a council, to give them an update on what we're doing. CO Beck.
Mr. Chair, we're still trying to line up a strat planning session for council and our consultant. And we're just wondering if May 22nd or 23rd would work. I know that competed with a couple of dates for you, Councillor Chamzik, but 23rd.
Sorry, my meeting's not till the evening, so.
Sure. I mean,
Yeah,
there's
May
nothing sooner.
23rd. Thank you.
May 23rd, strat planning.
Awesome.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Is anyone willing to move the calendars as amended? Councillor Cromwell has moved the calendars, that we adopt the amended calendars. Is there any further discussion?
Can I ask, assuming 9:30?
I think they said 9 to 4.
9.
I think
We'll
we
let them,
started at 9:30.
absolutely. Sure, we can do that.
You know, I was once listening to a discussion and a nurse was trying to cajole this doctor to showing up at the clinic at a certain time and she said 9. Finally, he said, okay, 9 o'clock, but I'm going to be half an hour late.
There you go.
Okay, on the question of the adoption of the motion to adopt the calendars as amended, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The count is 9-0. Councillor Cromwell, you did put up your hand. It would be in order to entertain a motion to go into closed session. Councillor Chamzik has moved. Geez, we might get this thing done before coffee. On the question of the adoption of the motion to enter closed session, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None. The motion is adopted. We are at 9-0. Let's take